Hey everybody, just picked up a new gun to test out. I've actually got an old version of this from the 80s that runs really well, and I saw that they're selling them again, so I thought I'd buy one of the new ones, try it out, see if it's any good. It is the Norinco JW-20, which is the knockoff of the Browning bottom eject semi-auto 22. I bought this one at Canadian Tire. They retail for about $180. I had a gift card that I got for Christmas. Thanks, Mom. So I paid about $130 for it, and it was the display model, so I'm not sure if this is what the unboxing will look like for all of them, but it's literally a gun in some styrofoam. It's not bad. All the other Norincos I've ever bought have come in a Ziploc bag, essentially, that's full of grease, and they're good and nasty. I'm thinking because this one was on the shelf, it's a little bit cleaner, but you can still see it's got a little bit of nastiness here, but a little bit of steel wool or something will clean that up. But I'm going to clean it up here in a sec and see what it looks like, but it's actually a takedown model, which I believe they all are. So this little pin kind of comes apart, and you can take the fore end off, which you need two hands for, but I've only got one available because I'm filming. They're a great little gun. Load up on the stock, and, well, bottom eject. One of the reasons I really like this gun and want to do another review on it is that they're good for carrying around. They fit in the hand nice, and they're very light, so people like my wife, for example, have a hard time shooting even a normal 22 because they're kind of front end heavy, so she does that tip forward thing. But because this one's so light, it's kind of good for newer shooters or smaller shooters. Anyway, I'm going to stop filming and clean it up, and then I'll get some footage of it shooting, and, well, we'll see if it shoots worth a damn. Alright, so we're outside here in the tropical Alberta heat. Just got it cleaned up, haven't shot it yet, haven't even loaded it, so let's see if we can make it work. So to load it, just twist a little piece here on the back, comes out. That exposes kind of your feed port, and it's supposed to hold 11, so let's see if we can get in there. 1, 2, oh, apparently we stop at 2. We'll hold at a hard angle. 3, 6, 8, 10, and that is 11. So I notice also with my old one, you really got to have it leaned hard forward to make it work, and then just run this back. And usually you just drop it and it goes in. Holy, didn't want to feed. Okay. Now, let's all remember that this thing still probably got a lot of grease on the internals that I wasn't able to get to, but let's see if I can hit something with it. Okay. Nothing. Nothing. So, I'm guessing that she's just so gummed up that the firing pin can't actually hit it. So, now it doesn't want to eject. Holy Lanta. Alright. This is probably why they have a reputation of not being very good, is now I got 2 live shells jammed in there. I'm going to stop the video, I'm going to take it in the house, I'm going to just absolutely hose this down with some lube and see if we can get some of that heavier grease out and try again, see if it'll actually run properly. One band-aid later, got it all tore apart, cleaned up. Inside was like glue, it was so gummed up from that grease that Norinco loves to use. Immediate complaint about this gun, it's very narrow in here, and if you're doing any kind of fishing around in there, the machining's really rough. And you will in fact slice your finger open on it, because that's what I did. And in the cold on the snow, it looks real bad. But let's see if it'll fire now that we got it cleaned up. Okay, so first round actually kind of went in. There we go. Once you clean it, they're reliable, and actually out of the box I was hitting a little steel pig about that big at 20 yards, so that's not bad. I'm actually doing an accuracy test next. So we've got 3 groups here, the middle obviously being the first one that we shot. Came out okay, and then top left was our next one. Bottom right was the last one I shot, and I mean this is benched with cheap ammo, 25 yards, a little bit of wind, so this is a pretty achievable grouping with this gun. If I wanted to play with ammo and tighten things up, maybe put a scope on it, I think it could do better, but I'm just not willing to bother for a cheap gun. Okay, so I thought I'd just do kind of like a closing thoughts on the gun. I've only put, I'd say about 40 rounds through it. Just right now it's pretty cold out and we're like, it's not gopher season or anything, so there's nothing much to it other than fired at targets. Accuracy wise, we're shooting at 25 meters benched and we're getting, 2 inches, inch and a half, something like that. So, well within reason. That's only with one type of ammo. If we started changing it up a little, we could probably find one that works a little better. As far as reliability goes, it's pretty good. We're still getting the occasional failure to feed, and actually the first round, it seems, always takes a little bit of finessing to make it go in. You got to kind of bump it a couple times on the action. Other than that, it's pretty good. I think as time goes on, it might break in a little more. And, the more you clean it, the more you lube it and get those parts. Taking it apart, I saw a lot of really gummed up areas that I kind of scraped it out of. I'm sure there's more hidden in there somewhere that as time goes on, it might work its way out and get a little better. Like I said, I've got an older one and it works great. It'll cycle anything, even subsonics. So I have no doubt this one will get there eventually. The real question is, would I recommend this gun to someone? I'd recommend it to the right person. For the money, if you want a gun that you're going to take out of the box and just shoot, probably better off buying a Savage, like one of those Model 64s and a semi-auto. It's even got a detachable mag, which most people prefer. But if you're the kind of person who likes taking things apart, tinkering, playing with them, cleaning them, making them work, this is the gun for you, and you'll definitely be rewarded with a gun that's comfortable to hold, nice to shoot, and a great design, because it's designed by Browning, which anything they design, I like. I think where this gun will really shine is when you're doing something like gopher hunting, or especially grouse hunting, which to me is one of my favorite things in the world, is grouse hunting, where you just take the gun and you go for a walk. Right? It's all internal magazines, so you can't do the truck thing where you jump out, load it in quick, and you go. This, you got to load it, put the safety on, and just carry it and walk around. And I mean, it's nice and light, and that receiver fits perfectly in my hand. And it's just, I find it really well balanced, maybe a little heavy on the back end compared to the front, but that's actually preferred because, if you're a smaller shooter, which I am not, but if you're a smaller shooter, you see a lot of those people, they kind of do that front end lean, or they kind of push the hip out funny. This gun, you don't have to do that because it's so light on the front end. And I'm all loaded up here. I'm just going to fire a couple at the steel pig. I mean, it's 20 yards, so it shouldn't be hard to hit, but let's see what kind of reliability we can get just standing and shooting. So there's one giving me grief. So it loaded. There we go. Didn't go off. Either that was a light strike or it could be faulty ammo. Again, I'm using the cheapest bulk stuff I can find, and even on my 1022 I was getting a couple light strikes. So a little of this, a little of that. It's hard to say who's at fault, but I'm seeing a pattern. So that's a live one coming out. Got a live one going back in. And that's the end of them. One problem that I have with the design itself is that there's no last shot hold open, so you inevitably end up dry firing it against the chamber, or if you're smart enough to count as you're shooting. But if you're getting this many failure to feeds, or in my case a lot of light strikes, you tend to lose count fast. You jack one out and then suddenly you get 2 out or 2 jammed in there, and wait, how many did I have? It's not the end of the world. I paid $180 Canadian for this gun. If it's going to take a little damage just in the nature of its design and the way it's being used, that's just life. And honestly, you could probably swap out any parts with genuine Browning parts and end up with a pretty good gun. But at that point, you might as well just bought the Browning. I hope this review was helpful to somebody. I might keep it. I haven't decided yet. I might sell it and buy something different. Then again, I already have an older one, so why do I need 2? If you want it, let me know. Maybe I'll sell it to you. This one's clean and it runs a little better than the new ones. So here's the aftermath of my testing. We got the gun, a bunch of empties, and a whole bunch lying around on the bench. They're loaded, all these failure to feeds, a bunch of blood from when it cut my finger open. I don't do a lot of firearm reviews, but this was a rough one, I gotta say. Oddly enough, I still kind of like the gun.